Welcome to another conversation with Pam Hosel. And today, my guest, Caudy Antoine. You are going to love this artist, absolute facts, producer, change maker, entrepreneur, and founder of Life or Death Records, LLC. I can't wait, Caudy, for you to share your story with our friends and our peeps out there. Welcome.
Yes, Pam, thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful thing to be here, to be able to explain to everyone exactly what's going on. First of all, I would like to begin with being released from prison May the 2nd, 2018. Unfortunately, I was locked up for murder in the state of North Carolina. Back in 2003, I was convicted of a homicide, and they have no self-defense laws in North Carolina. So I did my time. I did my debt to society. But
Caudy, how long were you in prison?
I served 15 years on an 18-year sentence.
And you were how old when you went in, and how old when you came out?
Well, I went into prison at 20 years old. I was facing the death penalty, waiting, for my sentence at 21. I went to my first Rule 24 hearing in the state of North Carolina, deemed my case to be capital. God blessed me, and I was not given a life sentence due to mitigating circumstances. I was sentenced to 18 years. So I went in at 21, and I was released at 36, 37.
And you've been out of prison for how long now?
I've been out now for 3 years. God has been good.
You've done a lot in 3 years. Tell us who you went into prison as, what happened to you there, and who you came out as.
Well, I went into prison a hurtful man. I was hurting by being ignorant about just life in general. I was very violent. I was a violent individual. Being raised in Yonkers, New York, I had the mentality of, I wanted, it by any means necessary. And although I was in college, I was kind of living a double life, just being in the streets, adapting to street life as far as gang activity and drug dealing, things of that nature. And I was just a product of my environment. It was like I wanted to be the best of the worst, so to speak. Prison changed my life, not because of the things that people had told me about prison prior to me going, but prison changed my life because once I was actually in prison and having so much time, I wanted to change myself for the better. And change comes with you. People can tell you, you can read about it, but if you don't have that fortitude or that oomph inside yourself, then it's all lip professing. Change has to first start and develop within you. So I wanted to really change. I being in
was
prison,
that immediately? What happened in prison that helped?
Yes, it was a gradual process. It was a tedious process because when I first was incarcerated, I felt like I'm never going to make it out of here. I have an 18-year sentence. How am I going to do that? I'm in the state of North Carolina. I'm not from here. I'm from New York. I don't know any of these people. How am I going to even make it out of here? And once I got in there, I kind of fought the system, with trying to do legalities and things of that nature. And then the fight was with the officers. I was just angry all the time, being incarcerated. And then that last part of the fight was myself, controlling my lower self, controlling that beast inside of me and saying, you know what? You're not going to make it in life, not only in here, but you're not going to make it in life with the thinking. Because as a man thinketh, so you are. So I began to, transform myself. And me and a couple of other guys that, they're out now, a few of them, we wanted to read everything in the library. That was one of the very first things that I did. I said, you know what? I got 18 years. I'm going to read everything that I can in every library that they give me access to. And the more I read, the more I seen that the world is much greater and much vaster and much bigger than what I was accustomed to with being raised in New York. The more I read, it led to me wanting to read. So I went from reading autobiographies about other people, biographies, to reading business books. And eventually that led to me wanting to work out all the time and get my body together. And I was developing my mind. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get into business. I want to learn about business. I want to learn everything of starting a business.
If you look back, what books were most instrumental in that season?
Okay. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Richard Kalinsky. I read that. I also read 48 Laws of Power. But a lot of self-help books were very essential. I read James Allen. I got a lot of books from him with the whole mind is the master. And also, religious material as well. I wanted to study and just to learn how people identify with God, whether they were Christian or Muslim. And I just wanted to learn to surround myself.
What was the spiritual arc in prison?
Okay. When I first got in, I was kind of evasive because I felt like a lot of people were just doing it, playing mind games. Like it was just something to get out of the cell blocks, or until I started looking at myself. Because a lot of times we project and we try to put on other people what we're really going through. So once I let that down and I started stepping into the Christian congregations and, listening to the gospel and really giving these people a chance without looking at them you just trying to run game type of thing. Then I started to build a stronger relationship and build a stronger bond. And I also used to take courses. I took a few chaplain courses, just learning about the Bible. I've studied, the Islamic faith, learning about the Prophet Muhammad. I've read about the Moors, who our people were prior to slavery. And I just started to begin to really turn the penitentiary, which can destroy you if you allow it. I turned it into an institute of thought.
Wow. Talk to me about your reading. And then it sounds like you had a group or a group of men in there how did that impact you?
Oh man, it was awesome because instead of us being in a hostile environment where it's naturally to wake up angry and upset because you may not never get out of here again, you have no control over anything. Everything is already laid out and systematic for you. So to find other men that thought like me, as far as progression and wanting to be better, in the midst of our current circumstances, we began to form think groups. We would share books. We would share ideas of what we would do if we ever did get out, So that was awesome, and it was impacted as far as like physically us working out, just getting together to try to become better, helping one another. That was awesome.
So hope started growing?
I would definitely say so. Because rather than me doing time or letting the time do me, I began to utilize my time. I was certified in HVAC. It was a 4-year course. And 4 years in the penitentiary doing the same thing, that's a very long time. But I fought through it. I passed it. There's no other certification that I have to get. I'm HVAC certified type 3. I can work on anything from a regular water fountain to the industrial chillers on buildings, So I learned that. And my teacher was from Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which is sort of like a Confederate area. And he had a sign on the top of the door in the class that said, you can learn HVAC or look forward to working at Chick-fil-A. So he didn't play any games. Everything had to be on the money. You had to know what you needed to do as an HVAC technician.
So talk to me about the journey, the last couple of years in prison and your release.
Well, the last years, I believe, were the hardest because a lot of the relationships and bonds that I had built with being with, other people that we were doing time together. I had no co-defendants, but I had group bonds with these individuals. So the last years were very difficult because some of them didn't want to change, didn't want to make a complete change. So I was kind of like ostracized from certain groups because I didn't carry myself as I once did when I was younger and didn't realize what life had to offer. So it was very difficult, losing friends. So the last part, I have to say honestly, was the most difficult, knowing that I have the opportunity to get out and some of my peers will never get out again. Natural life sentences. So our conversations were different because I might talk about what I wanted to do and it was right there. Like I have a date now, where that would make someone else feel uncomfortable because they'll never experience that. Then there were other situations where guys would live through me. Like, yeah, bro, when you do get out, everything that we talked about, you have the opportunity to do it now. And I can feel that it's genuine. Like they really wanted me to do it, although, they would never get out. So that's very difficult. I still go through that at times because, I spent the majority of my life incarcerated. And when you go through something like that, literally, not from what you saw on TV or what you may have read, but when you actually experience it, it's completely life-changing. I have a different attitude and perspective about life that is very positive because the things that most people take for granted is a blessing to me. I went maybe 10 years without a contact visit.
Wow.
I didn't have any contact due to my behavior with gang activity. I was only allowed 2 phone calls a month. 2 phone calls a month. And I had to notify what number I was calling. The phone calls were maybe 3 minutes max, So I had not even seen nighttime at night for about the first 8 years of my sentence. I had not seen what it's like to be outside at night. I remember, getting into fights or getting into altercations and being in a cell in MaxCon for 18 months.
Is that like solitary confinement?
Yes. I've been in a cell. The longest at one period of time was about 22 months.
What's the experience when you say in a cell? How alone are you for the people that don't know?
It's undescribable, Pam, to be honest with you. It's like, imagine walking into your bathroom and closing the door, and that's where you live. Everything is brought to you. I showered twice a week. Showers were for maybe 8 minutes, and the water would cut off, and I'm back in my cell. There were times where officers wouldn't want to do recreation for the little 30 minutes you get twice a week. So again, it led me to reading. That was my only escape, was to read, was to write, and to try to keep my mind, because I've had several people that I considered to be a friend, and that was really tough with me. You couldn't just be a friend. You had to earn that. But there were several people that were friends, and solitary confinement changed them completely. They developed mental health issues where they were completely unstable, talking to themselves, or, very delusional, needing medication. It will break you because in that cell, those walls, that concrete and that steel in there, is much stronger than your physical being. If you don't have that spiritual and mental strength, and you can't deal with yourself, it's not going to work for you.
What got you through those 22 months?
Prayer. I'm a praying man. I fear God. You know, till this day, I still pray constantly. I'm constantly grateful because, to be honest with you, Pam, out of the majority of my peers, I have probably been through the most, and God has continued to uplift me. You know, for me to be a sight for others to love and fear Him. You know, I don't want to completely take the credit. That people identify with God in many different ways and fashions. Mm-hmm. But I must say that prayer, constant prayer, got me through not only solitary confinement, but my prison sentence completely. I've never been in a situation where I was stabbed or harmed physically. That's God, because those things occur on a regular basis.
Conversations with Pam Hosel is sponsored by Entrepreneur Ready and Dear Rockstar, the book. Entrepreneur Ready is a global entrepreneurship training program that runs an idea accelerator in the cloud to accelerate inclusive, equitable entrepreneurship and ownership, helping anyone, anywhere turn their ideas into reality, a side income, replacing a job, becoming CEO, and ownership. We believe that when those things are possibilities for any resident in every community and region of the world, then and only then will we have justice, equality, and the financial power for people to change the things and show up being the change they most want to be. Dear Rockstar, the book is a collaboration between rockstar graphic designer Alicia Feinberg and myself. 52 letters to inspire and rock your life, to recognize and celebrate the rock stars on your team, in your life, and stories to remind all of us on how to stay inspired and how to squeeze the beauty out of all of life's ups and downs. So talk to us a little bit. You're on your release from prison.
Let me tell you. So I was released from Nash Correctional. It's famous for people such as Ray Carroll. He was there. But when I was released, no one came to the prison to pick me up. So here it is. I'm being released back into society, and the police officers are driving me to the bus station. And they gave me a $40 gate check. It's considered a gate check. This is all the money that I had with all my possessions and my belongings after 15 years. I have no ID. I have a prison card with just basically my name and my prison number on it. And Pam, I was so nervous when they released me, when they let me out of the vehicle. They had to tell me that, you can go. Because I was institutionalized. I was so used to people telling me what to do that I didn't know to get out of the car. So once I got out, they said, you have to go into the station. And I'm looking around, and I'll never forget this feeling a day in my life. I saw a little kid playing. And it was amazing because I hadn't seen kids in almost 2 decades, a quarter century. So to see a little kid playing, I was in awe, and I was stuck. So I got enough strength to walk into the bus station, and I'm looking around like a tourist in a bus station in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. And I remember asking someone at the ticket booth, could I use the bathroom? And they said, why not? I was like, okay, thank you. And when I went into the bathroom, I almost burst into tears, man, because I saw a real mirror. I actually saw myself for the first time, because there's no real mirrors in prison. Everything is metal and a reflection from the metal. So when I actually saw myself in a mirror, I'll never forget that first feeling. I was like, wow, this is me. I'm touching my face, you know? So I went to the ticket booth, and again, this was really awesome because the lady said, hey, are you Caudy? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, your mother called. We're going to tell you what bus to get on so you can make it back to New York. And I stood outside. I'm hearing the birds chirping, and I'm kind of nervous. I haven't eaten anything yet. I'm really, really nervous. I'm trying to get back to New York, and everything is completely different. You know, even here in the country at this particular moment, everything was different. People were moving around me, and I won't forget it. We're loaded on the bus, and one of the people there, she was like, "You must have just got out." And I was like, "Yes, yeah." She said, "Don't worry, where are you going?" I said, "I'm trying to get back to New York." She said, "I'll ride with you, you know, because just trying to show me." So I put all my stuff on the bottom of the bus, and we rolled out. And I had to tell you this, man. We get to Richmond, Virginia, which I believe Richmond is the capital of Virginia, if I'm correct. Okay, so we get to Richmond, and I asked the bus driver, I said, "Can I go get something to eat?" And he was like, "Why not?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I went to the concession stand, and I know that I had a glow about myself because I had been in the incubator since I was 20 years old. So, of course, my pores, my I had my dreads then, and you could tell that I had not been in the world. I had been in something that preserved me. So the people in the concession stand were asking me all kind of questions. How tall are you? Da 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 da. And I didn't want to be rude, and it was so weird for me because I'm having a conversation with someone that in my mind is a civilian because I've always been a convict. So it was like I'm talking to another human being, like I'm having a real conversation with another human being, and it's so wonderful and warm that guess what, Pam? When I finished getting my food and went back to my bus, the bus was gone.
Oh,
The bus left me in Richmond, Virginia. Now I'm completely nervous. I'm scared. All I have is my ticket and this food in my hand. All my belongings was on that bus. So I immediately go to the ticket booth. I skip the line, and the guy that's behind the booth at that time, he was from New York. He said, "Brother, don't worry. Show me your ticket, and I'm going to get you on another bus." But that bus wasn't leaving for another 8 hours. So here I am sitting in Richmond with no belongings. Stomach, again, I'm scared to eat. I've been eating prison food forever. This is a real cheeseburger in front of me with fries. And I think I have maybe like $20 left from the $40 that they gave me. And there are people moving around me all over the place. And that was very uncomfortable.
yeah.
Because again, I'm not used to, well, now I'm grown, but at that particular time, someone, brushing against me or too close to me, it gave me a feeling of anxiety. I would break out into a sweat, or I couldn't, I would really just freeze up.
So when you finally get to New York,
yes. So when I get to New York, Pam, oh my God, the smell hits me and gives me a nostalgic feeling. It's like, okay, I'm back. I am back in New York, but I need my belongings. And my mom is telling me that she's at, Penn Station waiting for me. And mind you, I have not seen my mother outside of pictures for over 10 years.
So she didn't visit.
Yeah, and because my mother visited me one time, and because of the gang activity, I was a high-ranking gang member, and I could not have contact visits, period. Okay. So that was very difficult. for everyone, especially my daughter who is now 23. And, I couldn't have any kind of physical contact,
Yep.
so that
You
was very
come,
rough.
so when you come back to New York,
Yes.
where do you live? What happens? Three
Well,
years ago.
when I come back, I saw my mother for the first time, and I just broke down. I broke down in tears. An individual found my belongings, brought me my belongings from the bus station, and I stayed with my mother here in Yonkers on Radford Street, and my mother lives in a 1-bedroom in the basement. And my mother, is a recovering drug addict. This is the very first time in my life, and I'm so grateful to God for this because I prayed for that. But this is the very first time that I've ever seen my mother not using drugs and just sober, living life. And we laugh about it now, what she told me. She said, when I lost you, I refused to use drugs anymore. But when I was incarcerated, I really didn't believe that because growing up as a kid, that was just normal.
Right.
So I love my mother for that. And I lived in her living room. I had about $7 or $8 left when I got there. And I told my mother, I said, Mom, everything that I told you that I was going to do in those letters, I'm going to do it. And I know she was probably kind of skeptical, but she never showed me. She never showed me. She always kept that like, boy, you could do anything that you want to do, and I'm here to support you. Now, my mom is disabled, so she can't get around like she wants. But I was determined, Pam, to make my mother proud. So the very first thing I had to do, Pam, was report to parole. You got 72 hours. You got to report. And I made it my business to get up there. I spoke to my parole officer, who later on will be able, you'll know how that correlates, Mr. Roper. And Mr. Roper, he read my jacket and he said, listen, we have extradited you, accepted you back from North Carolina to New York. Now, if you were to get into some type of trouble, of course, you would have to serve your time here, but we would send you back to North Carolina. He said, but after analyzing you, I see you only have one offense. You weren't in no trouble prior to that. And as long as you were incarcerated, I believe that you want to change. So he told me about the program called Grayston. And he told me, he said, listen, a lot of these guys don't listen to me, and they don't go to this program. He said, but I believe that this program will benefit you. I said, sir, I want to work. I'm willing to work. In prison, I worked for $2.80 a week. And that was considered a good job. People was jealous of you when you was getting $2.80 a week.
Yeah.
So I went to Grayston, and I took advantage of every single thing that they offered.
For the listener, Grayston Bakery is a social enterprise which is committed to inclusive employment, inclusive economic development, and they have something called open hiring, which they don't ask for a resume, they don't ask for any background. So talk to us about what it was like when you went into Greystone.
Yeah, it was amazing because when I went there, they helped me step by step with everything that I needed and the things that I didn't even know about, the things that I wasn't aware of. Like, for example, I didn't know I needed an email. I didn't know how important an email was. And they taught me how to create an email and how to use it. And they also showed me about a resume. I had read about resumes before, but they took the time step by step. And one thing I love about that whole program to this day, they never judge me. They never said, okay, where you was at, what you was doing. It was always love. There was always some type of refreshments there when you come there. You know, if you wanted a coffee or something to eat. And it was just genuine with the people, because a lot of times when most people get out of prison, we already got our guard up. Like, yo, what you want, what you here for, what you trying to, it wasn't like that. It was all love. And all I wanted to do was better myself, and they helped me. And it was a guy, Albert. He gave me a job as a ranger. Now, the Rangers program is great. I don't know if it still exists. I hope so. But it was wonderful for me, because I went home and told my mother, Mom, I got a job. So they hired me on the spot. And it's amazing, Pam, because I'm from Yonkers. So they hired me, and my job was to sweep from ShopRite on Riverdale Avenue all the way to Yonkers Avenue on both sides to get the trash up. I did that job like I created that job. I did that job.
You owned it.
Pam, I cannot emphasize. I had my radio on. I'd be jamming. And I had a job. I had a real job, and I wasn't getting $2.80 a week. I think I was getting at that time, I think Albert started me out with $8, but that was great to me. I'm like, right. I got a job. I can give my mom some money. I can still have a little bit of money to give my daughter something. My mom is not charging me for rent at the moment. I haven't been in my mother's house since I was 15 years old. I'm building myself up. I'm back. So God is so good. They would allow me at Graceland to use the computer to do research, because my mother didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have anything in the living room. My mom is poor. She lives on a fixed income. So I would have to go out in the hallway to use the Wi-Fi in the hallway, or anything that I could catch, so my phone wouldn't keep buffering and stuff like that, in order to take care of my business. So Graceland would allow me to go there during the day and use the access to their computer. So from that, I was able to get my driver's license. I was able to study to get my driver's license. I went to the DMV, I got my license, and I also learned about OSHA. So I went and got the OSHA, and once I got OSHA, that's when I was able to get into the construction field, and I really took off from there, Pam. Once I got into the construction field, many people took a liking to me and said, listen, go to Metro Tech in Brooklyn. You're a smart guy. Get your certs. I got certified in S92 Fire Watch, F60 Fire Guard, scaffolding, flagging, hoist operator. Then eventually I was the foreman at the construction sites. So
when you look back at Graceland, what did Graceland do for you, and how long were you there?
Graceland was the incubator for me. Graceland did it all, Pam. They taught me how to create an email, how to be prepared for a job interview. They taught me my resume, and they sent me on jobs. Not only did Albert give me the Ranger job, and that was great too, because let me tell you, Pam, I swept and did my job so well that I didn't know that they were monitoring me. And they kind of made me the poster boy for the program, because they had been watching me unannounced and used how I had did the job as like the criteria. So that was awesome. And I was able to speak to other people and tell them the benefits of Graceland before my old parole officer, Mr. Roper, and everybody else from Westchester County that had came, to kind of think about how to revamp the Graceland program. So that was wonderful. But they step by step gave me an opportunity to empower myself by helping me find gainful employment, but giving me a job when I first got out, when nobody would.
Yeah. So that first job, and then the environment and the support for
I
you to
cannot,
take the actions to eventually get that next job or to get certified to have the credentials
like,
to be
like,
ready.
like this, Pam. When I went there, you sign in and they already on you. They're on you. What do you need, Mr. Antoine? Well, here, check this out. And we have such and such going on. Have you eaten yet? You know, and I went to every program and it was like a family base from everybody from Albert to Miss Angelica. All of those people have made me a successful Black man in society right now
Mm,
because they never gave up on me. And I don't know what they was going through in their personal life. They never showed it at work, man.
wow.
And yo, that program is awesome.
Yeah, I want to have the CEO on his vision for inclusion, right? Check out Greystone Bakery. We'll link it in the conversation. But his vision for inclusion and employment and is right for everyone to create economic engines. We think of that through employment. I think of that also through starting things. Transformational, right? That's what inclusion looks like. Okay, so talk to us about your music. When did music begin for you? I listened to the song that you wrote for your mom. That's called
Hurting for me.
"Hurting
Hurting for me.
for Me." That almost made me cry. I had uh, a son that was challenged. And I can remember sitting in my front room. He would have, run away for a night or something. And I was thinking of every mother's pain as in terms of when our kids are going through rough times, right? And that song is powerful. We'll put a little clip in here.
Oh yeah, she's hurting. Oh yeah, hurting
Talk to me about the arc of your music. When did it start?
Well, the song for my mom is called Hurting for Me. And we released that song in 2019, I want to say, on every major platform. It can be found Spotify, YouTube, anywhere that music is sold.
And then what for Absolute Facts? What happened
Well,
next?
okay, so Absolute Facts, I created that name as an enigma because I wanted people to appreciate what I'm bringing to the hip hop world. I believe that music at times can be saturated, but I know I have a story behind what I'm doing. That is the
Mhm.
energy, that is that zeal of mine. My ideal is for people to appreciate the music that I am producing and putting out to the people. So Absolute Facts, I created him, that entity, and I have 19 songs available worldwide. Now, I went ahead into the video scene and I have several videos where people can see, you know, kind of the animation behind the music that I've created. But that led to starting a recording company because I know how I felt trying to get people to understand my idea from the very beginning, but not really wanting to be involved with someone that hasn't been in the music industry, period. So I said, you know what? I'm going to be a medium for someone else that was going through what I went through. So they won't have to go through it. So that's what made me form Life or Death Records LLC.
And
And
the mission there is
to basically be a platform, not only for myself, my music is there, I'm the first artist of the label, but as chief executive owner of the label, the objective is to be a medium for unsigned artists to be able to put their music out and to be advertised on that level so that they can use me as a platform to take it to the next level.
and so do you have a couple new artists you're working with?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So right now, at this moment, I'm working with a producer. by the name of Late Individual. He calls himself Hot. He and I have done about 4 songs together. I have another guy from Yonkers. He goes by Star Vibes. He and I have done about 3 songs together. The Real So Slick. He has just done something for MTV and things of that nature. But he and I got together, and we've done a project. And I'm ready to release my first full-length album under my label.
Wow. Wow. And you've been out of prison for 3 years. We met each other during the pandemic. I was running an accelerator and you joined it. Talk to me about what happened for you in this last year, right? When the pandemic hits, what was your vision? Why did you join the Idea Accelerator? And what's happened to you in that? What's happening now?
Okay, well, that was a difficult time, Pam. So I'm sure that the pandemic, whole COVID situation has been difficult for everybody in the world, but it hit me different. Because here it is that I've been incarcerated the majority of my life, but I come out and people are quarantined. And they're quarantined at a time where I need those social skills. I need to get out and advertise my business so that people will know who I am.
Yeah, because
and you know, I just watched them I just watched them deteriorate. Basically, the COVID took my father. But so I have, being the only child, I have grown, a better relationship with my mom. But as far as work-wise, COVID stopped a lot of work. And I couldn't afford to not work. I had gotten out of my mother's home. I had rented me a room. And with renting a room in a rooming house with the COVID, that was a whole nother issue, So I became an essential worker. I left the construction field and I went back to school. I studied and I'm in the medical field now. So now I'm a home health aide. I take care of my mom and I have another patient. And I also went and got my CDLs and became essential on that level. With getting my Class B CDLs, I drive for City Care and I pick up the special needs kids and bring them back and forth to school in St. Mary's every day. So I've been doing that. So I had to reconstruct myself again. So with the music part, it was like, yo, I'm hungry, I'm going in. So I started subcontracting rather than sitting back and waiting for people to accept what I'm trying to do. I said, yo, just move out my way. I gotta get this done. So a friend of mine seen my zeal. Her name is Renee, and her husband is in this program as well. And she called me and she said, Caudy, listen, I know how hard you've been working with your music. I know about this program. You gotta join this program. So, I was kind of skeptical, but this is my friend. She's a real friend of mine, right? So I said, Renee, what you got going on? And she said, no, I'm serious. Just contact it. And the rest is history. I got in you guys' program, and Launch 1000 helped me to reconstruct myself for the better again. Because even though I was going through my own personal issues, like right now I have a 1-bedroom, I found my place. I lost my car in Hurricane Ida, but my credit was good enough for me to get another vehicle. So now I got a new SUV year to date. And God has just been working tremendously, and I finished the program. So now,
talk to us about what you came into the program with. What was your vision and what happened to you during the program?
Okay, so when I first came into the program, I was like, okay, how is this going to benefit me? What am I going back to school again? And, and I learned about the grant at the end. So that was pretty much where my mindset was for my incentive. But once I started speaking to the coaches and coming to meeting, I was like, oh, okay. It became a place where I could come for comfort. You know what I'm saying? Like, I look forward to making my meetings and hearing what other people ideas, what they're trying to do. So I evolved again. I said, you know what? Since I'm in this program, I'm going to start, not just focusing, shining the light on myself. I'm going to start advertising on a regular basis for unsigned artists all over. And that's
Is
taken.
is that where the vision for Life and Death Records, it went from your music to you seeing that you could be a platform within the Entrepreneur
Yeah,
Ready
I
Idea
learned,
Accelerator?
I came up with that in the program because before it was just about absolute facts. But once I got into the program and I started hearing other people and I just started going through all the steps to show you. So different lights start coming on. I was like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do this too. Oh, and then it actually, because woe to the man that says what he's gonna do when he is greater and neglects his present duties. So I said, yo, I'm not gonna wait until I'm on or and until my music goes viral to start helping people. I'm gonna do it right now. And I did it on Instagram and it's popping. It's popping.
Okay, so what were the elements in the program that helped you launch this next venture within a matter of 8 months or 6 months?
Well, it was all right. I won't say that it was phase one. I'll probably say about 4 or 5 when the questions start getting in depth. Like for me, the pivot points. Like, what if this didn't work, and what would you do? You know, when they started making suggestions. So it made me come up with, okay, first of all, it's gonna work because I'm an artist and I have the music and I have the vision. But when I started looking at alternate plans, I said, well, I could always advertise someone else while I'm planning to do my stuff too. You know, so it was, I want to say around 4 or 5, maybe 3, but definitely 4 or 5 steps where the questions started, you know, asking me to break down what I'm doing. So when I was breaking it down, it was like, oh, okay, this is what I wanted to do at first, but since they making a suggestion, this is what I'm thinking about doing. And then I just made it a reality.
So you took your idea out in a prototype stage. Talk to us about how you first took the idea for Life or Records. Who did you get that in front of during the prototyping stage to get feedback? And what happened then?
Okay, so I had already registered Life or Death Records LLC. But once I got into the program, when they asked us to do prototypes, I would use platforms such as Tagged. Tagged is a platform where it allows people to interact in real time. Like I can log on to what, so similar to like a Zoom, but I can log on when you're live. And while you're doing whatever you're doing, I can ask questions and you interact with me. But there's other people actually listening to our conversation. And some of the rooms may have up to 1,000 people. So I was able to throw my prototypes out there with asking people questions of stuff that I was already doing, but how they felt about it, what artists they were listening to. And they gave me all the feedback I needed because Tag is like one of the apps that's really, really popular right now, where it's social interaction right now, real time. And then Instagram. Instagram was another place where I could get so much feedback because I could send a message or go into a live on Instagram and ask people questions and they might tag me in. So now we're talking about it, you know, so it was great. It was great like that. Tagged again, if I ask you a question, I can come up in your box. So me and you were talking while other people are listening, you know.
So getting a lot of rapid feedback. And then
Yeah.
and then eventually, did one of those environments lead you to these new artists?
Yes. Tag, I've made many connections networking through Tag, but Instagram has been the most dominant. Instagram, Facebook is really good, but Instagram has been the most dominant because Instagram is very, very popular with people just displaying themselves and what they want to do and what they are currently doing. So I would use that as a way to say, okay, you're already an artist, and I would take whatever they have. I also created a little paragraph that I copy and paste to send to potential people, and they start sending me material that they don't even have on there posted yet, and I would be the one to post it.
Hmm. So what's your vision right now? And what's next for you, Caudy?
Oh man, the vision is great. So now that I have my own place, I'm comfortable, and I have my vehicle. Um, I finished the program. So the plan now is to actually upload a full-length album under my record label, where I own 100% of my masters, copyrights. There is no overhead. The people that I work with along the project, I subcontract to them, so there is no percentage given out, And my goal is to not only take and upload this album to United Masters, so it will be on every music platform, but to go into the visuals. 2022 will be all visuals for Life or Death Records and live performances. And I will be able to do so with the grant. Now, I don't have any major marketing in the music that I have out currently, and I've seen over 150,000 views collectively. So the goal now is to reach at least 500,000 to 1 million views for Life or Death Records.
Dear Rockstar, this week's letter is Gratitude Junkie. The day 8 digits went missing from my bank account, I didn't feel grateful. No, not one bit. More pissed off, blindsided, and yes, mad as HE double toothpicks. Make no mistake, dear, I'm no saint, more proven sinner. At that moment, a million thoughts swirled through my head. None, not one, capable of earning me sainthood. And then a question so absurd it got my attention. What are you thankful for? As if I had a million things to be thankful for. Thankful for, I spit. No, really, what are you grateful for right now? Feeling as if I were being tested in the way the American Broadcast Association used to run tests in the middle of my favorite radio song, I answered, well, I'm thankful I haven't killed anyone. I'm thankful my lungs haven't given out. My heart is still beating and my kids are fast asleep. And then the bird that liked to flutter outside the kitchen window began chirping. And of course, I was thankful for the fact that even when it feels like the sky is falling, birds show up and prove you wrong. I swear they do, dear. Truth be told, on plenty of days not nearly as dark as this one, I have struggled to acknowledge my blessings. If I could ask for one miracle for each of you, each day, no matter your circumstances, I'd ask for you to be overcome with gratitude upon waking each and every morning. And for this ritual to be so consistent, you transform into a gratitude junkie. Yes, a gratitude junkie, dear. More great stuff in Dear Rockstar the book. Check it out today online at dearrockstarthebook.com. And check out the bulk orders that we can send to you now to recognize your team. All right. So as we get ready for this season of thankfulness, you've been through a lot.
Yeah.
What do you say to someone that is really struggling right now and maybe thinks they're not going to get through it?
Well, I have a lot of people around me that, they're going through things. So what I would say to anyone is, a lot of times you have to be the change that you want to see, not only in your family, but in the world. Don't wait for someone else to fix something that you're capable of fixing yourself. And don't be too down on yourself about the things that you really don't have the ability to change. I think a lot of times we allow other people's perspective of us to destroy what God has envisioned for us, what he has showed us. Don't allow that. Don't allow the naysayers. And I'm going to give you an example how I never allowed the naysayers. I had family members tell me, man, you too old to rap. It's not going to work. Man, you can't sell no CDs. It's not going to work. Nobody buys CDs. I killed the naysayers with success. I sold over 5,000 CDs in the train stations throughout New York.
Tell us about that. Were you standing out there selling them?
Absolutely. I was everywhere. My very first project, I invested my money and I got 5,000 CDs pressed up, and I had family members make it seem like I was insane. Man, it's 2019. You can't sell no CDs. It's 2018. Nobody's listening to CDs. But what they didn't realize was I created the CDs to build a bond with anybody that purchased the CD from me. We built the bond. Now, the music that you purchased from me, it was still online on a platform, but you were able to have a piece of me, something that I created. Just like my logo for my record label. I created that when I was the teacher's assistant in the penitentiary for the electrical wiring class. My teacher told me, he said, listen, I hear you click-clacking over there all the time. What are you doing? And I showed him. I said, I've been practicing this thing called Adobe, Photoshop. He said, don't worry about it. I created these ideas in the midst of turmoil. And I knew that if I was able to get out one day, that I would create jobs for other people, that my struggle would make someone else be at ease. So again, don't let the naysayers. I got people telling me now, hey bro, who pressed your CDs for you? You know?
So don't let the naysayers.
You can't. Do not allow the outside to affect what's going on with you inside. I can't do that, Pam. I'm not going to do that. I am not going to allow the negative from the outside to affect my balance on the inside. I can't control everything. You know, I can't save everyone, but I can control me. I have control over me. So once you understand that, I believe that you can handle that in business. For example, you know how many people told me no? That was regular. No, I'm not interested. No, thank you. I remember the very first time I was passing out business cards on 125th Street in Harlem. Tough crowd here in New York. When you're out of state, everybody kind of embraces you. You know, there's Southern hospitality and everything goes a long way. Here in New York, tough crowd. I remember giving people cards and they would throw it away right in front of me. What's this? Did it stop me though? Was I angry? No, because I knew if I pressed up 500 cards, 50 people were going to click. And all I needed was one for one person. But guess what? It took off further. Was I upset when I called people and I want to get into the studio because it's around the time where I had the money and I can do it, and they tell me that they overbooked? Did I get down on myself? No, I just kept pressing and pressing. So again, whatever you're going through right now or what you have been through, use that as fuel. Use it as fuel to press on. You can't stagnate yourself. A lot of people throw pity parties for themselves. Oh, I can't do this because my mom. Oh, I can't do this because my dad. Oh, I can't do this. No, you can't do it because you already have defeated yourself. My mother was in the streets and, getting high, but I refused. to be without. Now I've found a positive and legal and productive way to live the way I want to live. So if I could do it, anybody could do it.
You are certainly an inspiration, Caudy. Every time I listen to you, see you in community, hear you talking, I'm in awe of the lack of bitterness and resentment. What's the key to that?
Okay. I've saw a lot of men go home before me and come back.
To prison.
To come back. They came back to prison. And that was such a hurtful feeling, because it's like we're all fighting to get to our date, we're getting to our date, and you're released. You have an opportunity. You get out there and you come back. So I vowed that I wouldn't be one of those people that talked about what I wanted to do if I ever was released. And I didn't give it my all to do it. So I could not come out here with a chip on my shoulder thinking that the world owed me something. Stop thinking that the world owes you something and figure out what you're going to bring to the world that's irreplaceable. Everybody is different like a fingerprint. Be yourself and give the world you, because there's no one else that could be you better than you. Who? You're the best you. So when I saw that experience of feeling, knowing, yo, man, you got it, you made it, boom, 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 you get out, and I see you coming back 2-3 years later, and you're asking me for a soup or to confide in me about something, that's a hurtful feeling. Because I don't know if I'm going to get my chance, but you had yours. And that's how I feel when I step into a job. When I come into a job, there's other workers that have been there, so they're complacent, they may be lazy. But when they see me doing my job to the best of my ability, you know, I don't allow comments or allow certain things to affect me, because I know that you really don't appreciate this job like me, because you don't know what it's like to work for $2.80 a week.
And be in solitary confinement for 22 months.
You have no idea. So yes, I appreciate things a little bit different than a lot of people.
You have so much to teach all of us. We can't wait for your book. I am hoping you're writing it.
Well, I've written 4 books, and the goal, I told Robin, I don't want to get ahead of myself or sound conceited, but it's reality. So I'm going to start a book publishing company called Quiet Corner Books. And the objective of the whole program is, I know a lot of people that I still correspond with, and they don't have a medium. They're scared to send their manuscripts to certain people because of the things that people do to people incarcerated through the Son of Sam law, not being able to legally run a business while incarcerated. So my company is not, the foundation will be my books, but I'm going to bring other people aboard. And if you're incarcerated, you can send me your manuscript, and we're going to get your book out, your poems, whatever it is that you have with literature, through my book publishing company. And while that's going on, I'll be advertising for other authors along the way, free of charge. That's how I give back.
Wow. Well, we are thankful for you sharing your very powerful story with us, Caudy. And I can't thank you enough for just opening your heart and giving us a real look into your life, and for it to be fuel for all of us. You have inspired me, and I know that your story is going to inspire others. So if someone wants to contact you, it's the artist Absolute Facts.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can Google Absolute Facts, ABFOOTFAXTZ, and I will give you a lot of different things that I've done music-wise. But my name is Caudy Antoine. You can Google that and also see some things up there. And Instagram is Life or Death Records LLC, all one word, The Invisible Empire.
Awesome. All right, Caudy, thank you for our time together. I appreciate you. Have a great afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much, Pam.